Hey, and welcome to Talkin Smack Intellectually. I'm your host, the upsetter, always upsetting the status quo. That's right. Welcome to our reboot of our podcast, Talkin Smack Intellectually. I am just so thankful. We are going into our third year. That is so amazing. We have a great show today. Joining me today is the one and only Philly's own Mugga. She's our guest co-host, and we have an amazing show lineup for you as we're celebrating Black History Month by shining a spotlight on the incredible achievements of Black men in business. It's only right that we take the time to actually celebrate and honor the trailblazer and business tycoon, Mr. James Lindsay. He is the founder and CEO of Rap Snacks. Rap Snacks is the official snack of hip hop. He had made so many significant impacts in the consumer brand industry and also in the Black community. So we had an opportunity to sit in the studio with him and talk about everything. It was a very inspirational discussion, if I might say, very uplifting. And we're going to dive right in. So sit back, relax, grab your Rap Snacks, and let's take a listen.
I want to mention also that there's a lot of Philly love going on in here because Mugga's from Philly. I went to school in Philadelphia, and I know that you're a native of Philly.
Absolutely. North Philly in the house, yep.
And I actually was introduced to Rap Snacks in Philadelphia, so it's really great to see where the brand has come. And just kind of over the decade or so, you've been all over magazines. All of your work has been noticed. Your progression, I mean, we've seen you on Black Enterprise, Forbes magazine. You were also top 100 people to watch. So I just kind of want to jump right into the current state of the Black community in terms of entrepreneurship and economics or economic empowerment. So could you share your thoughts on the role that you feel brands like Rap Snacks play in empowering our community?
Absolutely. First and foremost, I think, having a successful brand from the culture and one that's very relatable, number one, is very important, plays a very important role for future entrepreneurs to say, hey, James Lindsay from Rap Snacks, they did it and I can do it as well. It is the issues that we have sometimes in our Black communities that, we have, these role models that are in sports and, doing other things in the community or some things that might not be as progressive. But, from a business perspective, I think Rap Snacks is very relatable, and I think it definitely motivates these kids to know that there's something they can relate to and something they're interested in, that they can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I'm going to pass it on to Mugga.
Okay. Thank you for that. What setbacks or challenges, Mr. Lindsay, have you experienced on your road to success? Can you, recall a moment in your career that was disheartening to you?
Oh, I had a lot of them, but I'll give you one of the first ones. Finding someone that believed in me and on the manufacturing end. So often in our communities we lack ownership of, intellectual properties, but as well as, we don't do any manufacturing of our own brands and products. So therefore I had a big challenge of getting someone to manufacture my product and believing that this is something that will work. I went to, several manufacturers. They told me hey, we think it's a good idea, but we're going to pass now. And that happened over and over again until I found the right manufacturer to help manufacture, because without manufacturing, you can't scale your business, So I went from one manufacturer to today we have 14 different manufacturers that manufactures our products.
Oh, that's nice. So when you're talking about building and expanding, and partnership is important, and when you just talked about the manufacturing industry, can you, when it comes to building and expanding Rap Snacks, can you talk about how crucial those partnerships have been and provide some insight on forging relationships and collaborations in the business world?
Yeah. Well, first, to speak to distribution, is a key in manufacturing. So, what I did, I forged some relationships with some other brands that not only distribute their brand, but distributed Rap Snacks as well. And what I sold them on was that, I felt like Rap Snacks was outside the box of their brand, and I didn't feel like it was any cannibalization of their brand. Rap Snacks being like the first type of culture product. It was the kind of a, not easy sell, but they understood that this would bring some equity to their distribution. And it allowed me to gain, distributors around the country. So Rap Snacks, as we stand today up in mom and pop stores and around all the cities, we have a distributor in every city in the United States, which is good for Rap Snacks, but it's also good for, other future entrepreneurs who want to get into consumer packaged goods in the future, because now they have, an avenue of distribution. Years ago there was none. Frito-Lay doesn't distribute anybody's product. Wise would never distribute me. They wanted to, copy my items. What they'll do is they'll copy your flavor profiles. They'll put their name on it and act like you never existed.
How do you protect yourself from something like that?
What you have to do, you have to have, your brand has to have a point of difference. I knew that Frito-Lay would never do anything that had to do with rap music. It's just not, it's not what their brand is built on. So, as the culture of rap music grew, so did, the culture of Rap Snacks, and, as everybody knows, hip hop is number one streaming music in the world, so not only that we feel like we have success in the United States, but we're having success in other countries outside of the United States.
We've been seeing Rap Snacks everywhere, right? Especially me growing up in the city in Philadelphia. I see Rap Snacks all the time, even since I was a child, seeing Little Romeo chips. Now you have Migos, you have Rick Ross, Little Baby, Nicki Minaj. How is the selection process to collaborate with these artists?
The selection has always been my insight. I know, as you guys know, I used to, I'm used to be in the industry, for years, managing meat. So I kind of knew some of these guys, and it was a fan of their brand before I even talked to them about Rap Snacks. And I look for brands who I feel like they have a cult following like Rap Snacks. That they can add something to the brand, some uniqueness to the brand outside of what we offer. Even with the Migos, it was, I incorporated, they had back in the day, they created the, the dab thing, so, it created this sour cream with a dab of ranch, right? Something that kind of made sense, that was something that, was going to add some credibility to, what we're doing outside of just selling potato chips.
And just to kind of a follow-up to that, how has the hip-hop community been supportive of the brand of Rap Snack?
Oh, they've been overly supportive because, when the community, the culture, see something that, that they like, but also see a brand that's overcome, what we've overcome, and you think about when I got into the business, Frito-Lay owned like 85% of the business. And so it was no other brand. It was 15% of the other brands that were little small businesses. So when I got into business, I ran into a lot of roadblocks because they didn't want to take any brand other than Frito-Lay in these stores. And, so, the culture, basically spoke for us because, even though when they wouldn't let us in the stores, they would have people go in the stores and say, do you guys have Rap Snacks? Why don't y'all have Rap Snacks? And I'm telling you, like, that happened all the time. My distributors would come back to me and say, the stores were asking for Rap Snacks because people were asking for it. So when I say the culture has supported us, they support us at a high level.
And I see Rap Snacks everywhere. I mean, as far as just getting involved with high-level events, community events, the Rap Snacks Foundation, the Boss Up Initiatives, entrepreneurship. Saw you at the Super Bowl. You guys have done an amazing job with visibility, and I'm pretty sure you have a lot more in store for Rap Snacks. How do you envision the brand's impact on the Black community and beyond?
Well, our impact is we're still having a growing impact, because I think Rap Snacks is one brand that we have, but I think we're going to cultivate and develop and produce other brands that's the offspring of Rap Snacks, right? That comes into play. Like we have our next brand is called Do the Right Thing, and Do the Right Thing is going to be a better for you type of snack food. You know, our next initiative at Rap Snacks is to go into some of these inner cities and these food banks and really, you know, provide information of, you know, of healthier and better eating and better living. Right. And, you know, the interesting story is, you know, I always had in the back of my mind, I trademarked Do the Right Thing, but, you know, I text Spike Lee about, you know, did he want to be involved with, you know, what I was doing. And, you know, sometimes these guys, their brain doesn't work outside of what they're doing. And he says, no, he says, I'd rather not do new snacks. But I was telling him it's bigger than just snacks, right? And so people don't understand that he has the name Do the Right Thing movie, but he doesn't own a thing, the trademark and Do the Right Thing snack foods, because every category is different. But if he, some of these guys have to understand, even when they made it, you still got to give back and help, provide and the change, you know, of sometimes eating habits. I feel like, you know, when you go into these Whole Foods or some of these other spots, how many brands do you see that's relatable to us? It's none of them.
Right.
You know, Family Dollar, we found out this year, Family Dollar has, 18,000 stores around the country, and Rap Snacks is the only black-owned brand in the store, black-owned brand, consumer product brand.
It is it's something to bring attention to, like you're doing. A place like Family Dollar, which is a staple in a lot of our communities, particularly the lower income communities, and that they're not actually supporting, or there's no black business representation outside of one, right? But and it's to celebrate as well, because Rap Snacks is a huge brand.
Absolutely, and that's when Rap Snacks makes that impact. Because when they told us, now we're talking about how do we do that? How do we become the anchors to get other, black-owned black-owned products in their stores? Not only because they have a lot of hair care products. I'm talking about black-owned consumer products, packaged, food products into their stores, right? And then they say, they are very adamant about changing that, but we have to have quality companies, black-owned companies that can service these guys. See, it's just not being in the stores. You got to be able to service them and be able to produce enough product to go in these stores. So that's the state of some of our companies, because they're not at that level yet. And when you talk about it being, an issue, it is because the problem is that we are consuming everything and everybody else's products, but we're not producing any of our products to consume. And that's the foundation. That's why I talk about this all the time. That's the foundation, but we have to change. We got to change that.
Right. The trucking, because I know that was another expansion to the Rap Snacks trucking. Did you want to talk a little bit to that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So when in the year before last, we spent over $6 or $7 million in trucking, and we said, hey, we would start our own trucking company, but in-house. But on top of that, provide training for some of our inner city kids to learn, to teach them and give them the ability to get into that industry. So not only that we're going to do our own trucking, but we're going to train, because we got to hire people to take our freight to different places. Yeah. Right. So, we felt like, it's a win-win for that if we do it ourselves and train, our inner city kids, how to get into a trucking business. So it's a dual threat for us. It's not just, we're doing a trucking company. We're doing a trucking company to help, train our kids to, come work for us.
Right. You're doing a service to the community.
Yes, absolutely.
And I wanted to know, how do you keep us coming back? Because no matter how old I get, I still go look for rap snacks everywhere I go. I want to know, how do you foster and strengthen that connection with us? Because it's happening. I see it.
Yeah, thank you. I always say, who wants better to know what we like than us, right? And
right.
I feel like I have my finger on the pulse of our flavor profiles, and we like when it says a honey barbecue potato chip, it better taste like a honey barbecue. I know for me.
Yes.
Right, and if you got 2 sprinkles of seasons on it, then we're never gonna buy it again. So I keep that in mind. That one of the, I'm a very mild mannered guy, but if I go out and I taste my product, and if it tastes like a plain product and it's supposed to say honey barbecue, right, I'm a madman, because I know what that does to my business, and I know what that what that customer is saying. I'm never gonna buy rap snacks again. I'm supposed to be buying this for seasoning, for it to taste like it tastes.
Flavor, right? The flavor,
right? The flavor, yes. And it's something like you're a kid. When I was a kid, I used to buy snacks all the time. And so I knew that that's what I like. So I'm thinking, everybody, that's from my community, they like the same thing. So I kept that in the back of my mind when it comes to my product. Even the flavor profiles we use, we don't. None of our stuff is cannibalizes the market. The honey barbecue flavor, I introduced that 30 years ago, where I created that. So everybody has a honey barbecue flavor now, but all our flavors are different. We don't go out and copy the market flavors.
The honey red hot, is that something that you created as well?
Yeah. So the honey red hot, I created that, but I don't know if you guys know, I own Mr. G too.
Mr. G
product. Yeah. So I created that flavor, and that flavor is on fire in Philly.
I loved it. I just had a bag.
Yeah, okay. They love that flavor. Yeah. Because it's like a sweet and it's like a sweet heat type of flavor. But you get both flavors. You get the sweetness a little bit first, and then you get the little tangy heat at the end. It's like not too hot. Like Mr. G is hot. Mr. G regular is hot. You know what I'm saying? But I cut back the heat a little bit, and it's like it's one of those flavor profiles that we like. They just don't know how to tap into it.
I did want to jump back into you talked about the consumer brand. I know that you guys do the signature event, a Disrupt, that happened in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, rather, in January this year. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and how that particular event itself could help emerging brands meet big giants like yourself and other consumer brand products?
Yeah, I think, I created Disrupt to, really connect the dots to inspired entrepreneurs, so they can come in and really, see, or hear some of these companies that, they're competing with, some companies that they're looking up to, and kind of get some really insight on how to scale their business. A lot of companies that don't have that, or a lot of kids in the inner city don't have that ability to be like, okay, let me go, to this conference and learn something, and get to feel, get to touch people, like they get to ask me questions about how I did it, and we did more of our distributors and some select, people that we invited. Next year is going to be open more to the public, where we get to have a lot more kids come. But it was really connecting the dots, and kind of the first 2 years, really streamline it so we can really take it to the masses, which we'll be doing next year.
Nice. What are some of the controversial issues that are out right now that has Mr. Lindsay's ear in the podcast world? What are some of the things you're listening to? What are some of the things that are just a hot buzz item for you?
Well, I really, I try to listen to things that affect our people, right? And the hot issues for is for me is really, people trying to get into business, and Black people trying to become become more self-efficient, right? So when I I listen to some of these guys' challenges of of their business, and usually on the internet, I mean, people will go in my DM, and I respond to almost everybody. If I don't, that means I missed it for some reason it wasn't intentionally. But I listen to the state of black business because if you think about it, we've taken some steps back because it's like you got the haves and you got everybody else is the have-nots, and the information, you got a lot of information out here on these podcasts, but you got to know that a lot of the information is not always the correct information, right?
Right.
Because people are just telling you how they did it their way, but what I want to say to most of the people out there is that, you can take a little bit from this person, take a little bit from that person, but ultimately it's going to depend on how you scale your business.
Do you have 3 starting points for a new entrepreneur? Do you have?
Oh yeah. So 3
advice?
starting points. First, the starting points. The first one would be research. You have to be able to research the type of business you're trying to start and know everything about it. So you have to know the good and the bad, right? And then you got to decipher how you going to get in that business and win, right? Number 2, in finance, you got to know how you want to finance your business. Rap Snacks, we don't have any debt. We still don't have any debt today. And how I finance my business is that my distributors pay me faster than I got to pay my manufacturers. So but we don't have any debt, and number 3, you got to love what you do. I love what I do every day, so when you love what you do, and I say this all the time, and we hear me say a lot of interviews, is that when you love what you do and you have the passion, that even in them bad days and when you're struggling, it's still going to be a good situation for you.
Right. And I had a question before my last question that it sparked when you were talking about making sure that you keep your ear to what is important to you, which is black businesses, and really being passionate. So when, right now what Mugga had asked about the 3 starting points, and I think that's good. I think that a lot of times what I hear too when kind of just speaking with people in the black community, sometimes I call it like a defeatist attitude in the sense where there's a lack of will it comes off as a lack of will to want to like make change, but really it's like a disbelief in the system. And I hear a lot of people kind of separate that, like they'll separate the haves and have not, right? They'll say like, well, it's because you guys did this, or you had your dad, or you had this, or you had that, and I didn't. How do you get people to eradicating that?
Well, I'm not saying I hate that, but they always say excuses are the tools of incompetence, what builds the mindfulness of nothingness. Those who specialize in excuses are self-capable of doing anything else. So when you have excuses, if you're that type of person, you don't need to be doing your own business. Because you have to have that confidence that whatever you go through, you're going to make it happen. Being an entrepreneur is not the most easy thing. It's one of the hardest endeavors you might want to be able to, the road that you'll take ever in your lifetime. And I'm sitting here telling you, all the great things about Rap Snacks, but there were a lot of ups and downs over this period of time that, most people would have said, no, I'm going to go do something else. But again, I wasn't making no excuses. I know this is the life I chose, and, one way or another, I was going to make it happen. And I feel like if you do something consistently every day, regardless whether you're working that day, tomorrow is always another day that might work, and, I think sometimes, with, when you're around, in the inner city and where we come from sometimes, there's like a, dysfunctional, outlook on life sometimes because that's the environment you're in, that you don't even, that you just don't know how to make it out, and I'm not saying, that
I can agree with
everybody,
that.
somebody's better than others. It's just that, environment and the people and the vision, right, and the people that you're around every day makes a total difference of your outlook. And, and I don't like people making excuses because, if I told you whatever, when I grew up, what happened to me and my family, I mean, I don't talk about that because the bottom line is that everybody got a story in the hood. Everybody.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then especially like talking to you and knowing that you came from North Philadelphia, which is where I came from, I will never make another excuse again.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will never make another excuse
right
again
there.
for anything.
Yeah, because I mean, I believe in positive thinking. I believe in positive vibes and putting people around you that have the same goals that you have. Because it's so often that you'll have some friends that you may have been friends with and you're not friends anymore. That it's always been a negative thing. I've heard people say, James, I ain't gonna work. This ain't work. Okay, that's fine. In my mind, they told me that you wasn't with me. You know what I mean? So the bottom line, that all that negative stuff that you were talking, I know where to keep you at because I'm moving forward with positive energy and people that believe in me.
Right.
Right. Well, certainly you have achieved like remarkable success, and I know you are in your success has definitely made an impact in our community and beyond, and so we appreciate and celebrate you. I did want to tie this into the last question about mentorship.
Sure.
Who were some of your mentors, and then how important is it to have mentors? And of course, that the age-old question about advice that you would give those that want to venture into the business world.
Yeah, I was very fortunate because when I graduated from Cheney University, my first job out of college, I worked for Johnson Products, and I worked for Mr. Johnson in Chicago. And,
oh, wow.
And the vision that I saw was that this black man that looks like me, that talks like me, walks like me, that he had a business, a consumer product business that was successful. So when I said I work for this guy, I'm like, I want to be like him. That's when we talk about role models. But I had a living role model that I work for every day. And I said to myself, I said, I want to be like him. I want to own my own packaging company. I want to go into products and do some of the things. And I learned a lot from him. I became a regional manager there, and I left there and started, I went to another company. Then after that, I started Rapsnack.
Yeah, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us. And this is inspirational just to hear Mugga say that, that you inspired her in a way, and that North Philly connection, and then just seeing the power moves that you've made in a short period of time. And we definitely admire your success, and you are a very important figure, like I said, in our community, but then just globally too. I think it shatters all aspects of like doubt, anything, or shatter all aspects of that negative defeatist talk. And I do feel like what you were saying, I grew up with my father, and it wasn't an option of giving up. You could slow down a little, but it was never an option for giving up. So it's always great to see black men at the top of the game, and not just at the top of the game, but reaching back to the community and giving back. And entrepreneurship is like major for you, and we see it. You're not just saying it, you're walking the walk, you're talking the talk, and we actually appreciate that. So I just want to thank you from the Talkin Smack Intellectually family. And so thank you so much, James Lindsay, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the time. You guys have a great day.
All righty. You too. Thank you.